Hello world, this is Hawk Wins Radio Picture Show. My name is Jack Dwyer.
And I'm Jay Smooth.
We have a great show for you guys, as always, every week's a great week, where we highlight different musicians and filmmakers and puppeteers and artists of all different mediums all throughout the great city of Chicago and through the Midwest for that matter. Stay tuned. We're going to keep going live here with Joe Mastrino in just a few. Before we do, Jay, how have you been? What's new with you, brother?
Been pretty good, man. You know, just celebrated 4th of July this weekend.
Yeah?
It was pretty...
Fingers checked. Do we got them?
Yeah. I was very grateful to have all 10 fingers, considering that there were so many people that blew their faces off this weekend.
Yeah, totally, right? Yeah, 20 dead in Chicago.
Fucking wild, man.
Dude. Woo!
There was one that stood out to me. There was this dude who had like a quarter stick of dynamite that he threw. It didn't go off, and he wanted to go check it out. Ooh. And as he picked it up to check it out, it blew up right in his face. Literally, dude. Brains just fucking splattered everywhere, man. That shit was fucking wild.
That's just Darwinism at its finest, I guess, you know? As the kids are saying, it be like that sometimes.
Oh, man, that shit was,
like that.
You know, got me thinking, like, why?
Why? Yeah, you know, I think if you want to be, you know, a real patriot on the 4th of July, and these days, I mean, you got to think about it. It started off with the Boston Tea Party, no taxation without representation. You're dumping tea bags in the Boston River. Nowadays, you know, instead of like giving into the consumerism, you know, and going to the fireworks store and buying thousands of dollars worth of fireworks, if you want to do something real rebellious, just take that $20 you're going to buy with sparklers and snakes and snapdragons and just light that fucker on fire. Just take the $20 bill and just deface American currency. That's kind of maybe the ultimate rebellion these days.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. That probably wouldn't be a good thing to do. Don't burn your money, kids. Save it. Yeah.
I mean, if you think about it, that's pretty much what that is with fireworks.
It really is. You're just burning your money. That and scented candles. Scented candles, especially in the summer when we got the windows open. But yeah, man, no, 4th of July was good. 4th of July is good. I was very busy, but I had a good weekend though this past weekend because I was very I was counting my blessings, man. I was very intrigued with just like how my life has been the last couple months, and it's been fucking crazy. But I've fallen back to the arts, and I'm very thankful for all the people who kept me into the game and everything, especially you, brother.
Oh,
you know,
thanks, man.
You know, I had my car stolen, I lost my job, lost my sanity, and you know, it's just been a fucking crazy past couple months for me. And I was really worried I wasn't going to be able to do Hawk Wins, and that really fucking bummed me out.
I feel you.
But, you know, when I was kind of like pulling back from that because of fucking crazy shit in life, you kept your foot on the gas pedal, man, and you kept this rock and roll train going. And for that, I'm eternally thankful, man. So I got something for you.
Oh, shit.
I got something for you, brother.
I love little gifts.
1 second.
Hold on, world.
This is a part of my love language is gift giving. Sorry I didn't get you a cool like rock and roll bag. It's a bunny.
I love bunnies.
A butterfly in a bag.
Oh shit!
But it's about what's inside that matters. So
can I show the world?
Please show the world. It's nothing too dangerous.
Ooh.
That's for after.
So it's a cool shirt.
What do we got?
Oh shit!
Oh, yeah.
And for those of you who don't know, we had this person as one of our first guests.
That's right. Michelle Billingsley, country music star.
Yep.
I saw the shirt and I was like, Jay would look good in that color. I'm going to get that.
I'm going to rock it for the next show, man. Dude,
good,
this is
brother.
great, man. Hell yeah.
Absolutely.
Shout out to Michelle Billingsley.
Shout out Michelle.
Yeah.
Buy her merch, folks. Buy
Definitely.
Her merch. She also sells shot glasses.
Support local art.
Yeah,
always.
Support local art. And that one's another local artist, too.
Ooh, I think I know who this is.
Well, that one's actually, I painted that myself.
Oh.
It's a red coffin of death.
Ladies and gentlemen, is that a little weed pipe?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I thought you could put your picks in there, you can put your weed in there, and it matches your guitar because you play a red guitar, right?
Yes, sir.
So, you know, thinking these things out for the boys.
Dude, this is awesome, man.
And check out the little glass pipe. Check out what's on there, bro.
Oh,
a little owl.
My favorite animal.
Yeah. Owl symbolizing wisdom and virtue and Tootsie Pops, of course, you know.
Just the munchies.
The munchies, of course, the munchies. So I hope you enjoy it, bro.
Dude,
Again,
thank you, man. I appreciate that.
No, I appreciate you, dude. It's been a trip, and I just want to let you know and let America know how cool of a dude you are. And no, dude, I love you, man. So thank you, dude.
You too, bro. I wouldn't be doing this without you, bro.
Hey, I wouldn't be doing this without you. You were the guy who brought me into Q4 in the very beginning. So.
Oh, there you go, bro.
Yeah, so let's rock and roll. We're just getting this freight train rolling, baby. We're just.
I'm about to start crying, guys.
No, don't cry. Don't cry. So cool. Let's rock and roll. Let's have some fun. Today we got a great guest. Joe Mastrino is in the house tonight.
What's up? What's up? Hawk Tour
wins. Welcome to Hawk Tour wins.
Oh, I forgot the spit guard.
Man.
Well, Joe, thank you for joining us today. Joe, you were saying earlier before we were about to get started that you don't always define yourself as a filmmaker. Tell America, tell us, who is Joe Mastrino?
You know, I feel like, every time I've spoke at certain things, they list me as a filmmaker, and I really don't consider myself a filmmaker. I didn't go to school for it. I kind of just started teaching myself how to do certain things. But I linked up with some great people that are actual filmmakers in the Chicagoland area. I learned from Rob Stern, Brandon Riley, a couple of amazing guys that are doing amazing things. I stayed the route of what I guess a videographer would be. I film a lot of machinery and industrial. I also film a lot of weddings. I basically film anything that people want to film or don't necessarily know that they want to have filmed. But I heard all the love that was going. I witnessed all this love going on just there, and I want to piggyback off that because I had just a love-filled day as well. To give you an idea of like my day-to-days, today was a great day. My son started walking on July 4th weekend, which is great. It's awesome. Really cool, so that's very exciting. And today was just one of those days as a creative. If you're listening, you probably would understand they don't happen often, but I had great phone calls with clients. I actually was working earlier today at a client of mine. But the thing I would consider myself more as is like a creator and a creative in general. In fact, the two clients I was on the phone with today, it really was more of like a brainstorming creative sessions. And I do really well with that. I just happen to know how to film certain things and get the job done for these clients. So it was a very on-the-move type of day, but it was very fulfilling for me, and I'm excited to be here, and thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely.
Thank you for coming, man.
100%. It's a sweet vibe you got in here, by the way.
Thanks.
This is like pure Chicago, right? Like all I need is a PBR and like a cigarette.
Good Newport.
We can always do that after this.
Yeah, I don't smoke anymore, but
the old Chicago handshake.
That's right. Which is what?
That's right. Take you out back behind the alley. I'm kidding.
Oh yeah. Oh, whoa. We won't go that
far. No. It's not that.
Show a whole new meaning.
100%.
Yeah. Woof.
Oh, no wonder so many people want to come on.
Yeah. 100%.
Sorry. The Chicago handshake. It's a tall boy of PBR with a shot of Malort.
Okay. Yeah. See, I'm embarrassed. I should know that because I have done those. Right. Yeah, right. I've been in enough Southside parades to have been and done that. Maybe I forget that I've done them after I've done them. So
that used to be my go-to at night. I know that's what that was called. So don't feel bad.
Malort is so. I mean, I'm like I don't even drink anymore. Malort is. I'm like gagging thinking about it.
Yeah.
All right. What's your best description of Malort? Taste of Malort.
Vegemite. Have you ever had Vegemite? Have you ever had Vegemite?
No.
It's like an Australian like pastry. I don't know what the hell it is, but I tasted Vegemite once. It's fucking disgusting. I don't know if you're Australian. I'm sorry. I know you guys love it, but it's like a spread. I challenge anyone to try Vegemite. Okay, I challenge anyone to do it. It's right up there with Malort.
Is there a veggie in it?
I don't know, dude. I have no idea what's in it.
What color is it?
Yeah, it's like a yellow, oranges type of thing. I can't believe I'm even talking about Vegemite.
I can always change subjects.
Malort tastes like shit. Okay, it's
describe Malort as Jack for those who aren't from Chicago.
So I would say Malort tastes like it would taste like black licorice vodka, siphoned through a dirty gym sock, and then served in a plastic bottle with like an uppercut to your gut afterwards. That's kind of my best description. What would you say is a shot of Malort is like?
Oh fuck. You know that like pink medicine you used to get as a kid?
Oh yeah, that's good though.
Right?
That pink medicine was. I could drink a whole thing of that.
I don't know. It was that like very like how to describe it? I don't know, like bitter taste. I guess like that after. It's that aftertaste from Malort too. Like, I can just drink a shot of Malort, but it's that aftertaste. Fucking sucks.
My mouth's watering from that pink stuff and Diamond Tap. Yeah, that all day.
And Pedialyte, they're
Pedialyte, yeah.
Catering Pedialyte to adults now.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a cure-all for hangovers for sure. You do
yeah.
it before and after, you're good.
Working in the service industry, every weekend I have coworkers just coming in with like a thing of Pedialyte and just like fucking, what am I doing here? Just
Yeah.
Pedialyte.
They're hooking each other up to IVs now. Like that's
Dude.
it's either Pedialyte or people are going to IV places and sitting there for an hour or so and getting like literally a fucking IV in their arm.
Literally. Yo.
They do delivery doctors now.
Do they
Show up at
really?
your house and do it. Yeah.
Really?
If you're hungover after a party or whatever, they'll show up.
Nice.
How much does that cost?
Yeah,
A
damn.
good amount.
DoorDash on steroids.
I was gonna say, yeah. Can you get that on DoorDash, Uber Eats?
You know, go the cheaper route. I know some like some med students, and med students know how to party. I'll tell you, they'll do it for free in the morning. I've seen it done before, and it's disgusting. But
Yeah.
I used to
It
consider
works.
my old drug dealer a pharmacist.
well, of course. I mean, technically, it's So Joe, let's get back to your filmmaking. Let's take us back to the start, to the very beginning.
So I guess the back to the beginning of me or back to the beginning of what we're here about?
Let's get to what we're here about.
Oh, okay. Either.
about.
Well, I guess I'm here to talk about what I've been working on for the past year. And as I mentioned prior, I don't really consider myself a filmmaker. And actually, some of my actual filmmaking friends would agree that I don't particularly care for being on sets. I've been on numerous sets and large productions. I guess the biggest one I've been on was I worked on Bar Rescue once, and that was
Sorry, that was John Taffer in the
John Taffer, yeah.
Got it, Chef. We got it.
Yeah.
All right.
And Bar Rescue was cool, but it was nothing what I thought it was, and it really never is anything that I thought of. I'll be the first to admit I have a problem where if I don't feel like I'm at the top tier of it, like it's hard for me to get on board. You know, just not to say that I think I know more than anyone. It's just very hard for me to.
You're not a PA anymore.
No, exactly. And I did PAing, and it's a great way to start. And some people, are built for specific roles. I just always had a hard time not being, I guess you could say top dog. But so I finally decided to, it was a culmination of things: my life, my personality, my career. COVID was also a big influencer on what I started creating. In fact, the influencer of it. And I started to, put, my money where my mouth is, and like I locked myself in a garage, and I'm like, I'm going to come up with something that is grounded in reality that can compete against Star Wars or Marvel. So like if you were to think of it as like a log line, right, of me, it would be man from garage competes against Marvel and Star Wars. I think it's a cool story. It's a lofty goal, 100%, but I think I'm doing everything right in regards to go after it. Back in the day, all you really needed was like a script and go out to LA and hope you meet the right person and get that script in front of someone. And, hopefully that worked out. Nowadays with social media, with people's attention spans, you really kind of got to put so much effort into it. And so what I did was I started, I wrote the script first. It's a work in progress. And as the script started writing and these characters I started developing, I went in the garage and started building some of these characters. A lot of it is kind of a cyberpunk theme, and there's a reason for that. But ultimately the premise is, the logline of it is all humans possess the ability to turn into metahumans, yet the government secretly prevents them from doing so. So I'm using real life elements from COVID, and I'm using the real world fact that 30% of humans didn't get a single dose of any vaccine. I personally don't care if you guys are vaccinated or not vaccinated. I don't have a stance on it other than my own personal experiences with it. So what I did is I created 8 characters that represent types of people or groups of people during that COVID pandemic period. And we all know what I'm talking about, from the alt-right conspiracy theorists to like the trust the science, and like everywhere in between. I felt that it was a very divisive time, and the goal of TOTUS, the name of my movie universe, is to bring people together, to block everyone in the room and be like, you know what, it is not your fault, it's not their fault, it's not, it's meant to be to bring everyone together. And TOTUS is Latin for all together. And not to spoil anything, but it's cool. It's cool. I've been really getting into the lore of it, and I've learned a lot about cosplay and shaping costumes and working with foam. I learned ways of working with the company Fiverr, which is like an illustrator or graphic design company that you can have people do projects for you, and that helped kind of spawn more creativity. I just found that the more I did and the harder it felt, the more like into it I kept getting. I'm like, I can't stop. I mean, I was possessed. I'm still possessed by it. And the reason of coming on to a show like this is to help me speak to it better and speak to it more effectively. I basically have already made a pitch video. I have made a clip-o-matic. I have made starting to build my social media pages, and I made a robust pitch deck. So right now I'm just kind of still tinkering around with the script, but as far as filming characters and doing drawings and things like that, it's kind of on the hold for now, but it's cool, dude. I mean, it's cool.
Yeah. Now, are you going to do any sort of crowdfunding? How are you going to make this happen?
I'm a little bit against crowdfunding to a degree. I don't know, maybe it's like a thing where I grew up, from when I grew up during the movies time. Like, ideally would be like one investor, right? I don't think a movie studio would really touch it. However, maybe they are starting to come around. The first 20 or so pages definitely comes off as like more of an alt-right, anti-vax type of thing, right? I didn't name it COVID, by the way. It's called Sordid in my fictional world. But ideally, like, I would love, like, if Elon Musk were to hear this or watch this, like, I know he'd like sign up right away. Only because I've actually incorporated elements of Elon Musk into the script, specifically SpaceX and his Tesla vehicles. They are part of the outers, right? They are decommissioned energy tech that the people kind of associate him as like a right-leaning guy. So in my fictional world, like, right-leaning people are ostracized, right? So ideally would be one investor. The crowdfunding I'm really not a fan of. I would probably stay away from that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right. I mean, if you're going to make something that big with, big sci-fi blockbuster, you need, you don't need $20-$30 chipped in here or there. You need some big bucks.
You need big money. And again, like, in the middle, like, if you think about 3 parts of like getting a movie from concept to actually in movies, you need like your front end, like a showrunner. And I don't even know if it's a show. I pitched it twice already. One is a practice pitch, and then a few other pitches, in fact, to post-production houses. I wrote the script specifically trying to limit things that I'm uncomfortable with. Not necessarily from like a morality standpoint, but from a technical standpoint, specifically with CGI. I know shit about CGI. Like, I've been on sets where we've done CGI. I've worked on some crews that did the Blackhawks videos, and I never knew that like the mask on their helmet, those are all CGI. They're not like, it's to prevent glaring. So they're marked up with like X's, and all that's done in post-production. It's CGI is everywhere. It doesn't mean like Hulk's one version of CGI, but there's so much CGI. But I can't do it. If I can't do it myself, I don't want to have any part of it. So one of the first things I did was I was in a movie called The Replacements. It's a short movie. It's not It's either The Replacements or Replacements, but it was made by Sean Miller, a director in Chicago, and his wife Naz Khan, and I was a character in it. It was awesome. It was one of the only times I thought, this looks like a real fucking movie. So I had reached out to them asking who did their CGI, and they gave me a contact, and I reached out to this guy. And if we were talking earlier, at first I'm very protective of TOTUS. I was very like, don't tell anyone about it. They're going to steal it. Like, have an NDA. And I did that with this guy. I'm like, hey, so-and-so, like, I got your name. I had this crazy idea. Would love to, talk to you about it. Would you be willing to sign an NDA? And he wrote back in such like a cool way. He's like, Joe, with all due respect, I don't usually sign NDAs for like passion projects. And I kind of laugh because it's true, right, to a degree. But then again, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, am I thinking of this wrong? So I'm like, all right, you know what? Here's the pitch video. What do you think? He's like, I'll give you a call tomorrow. As I'm driving down to practice my pitch with my good friends Rob and Sarah Sharp, he calls me up and he goes, the first thing he says, I could kind of understand why you want an NDA on this. He was like, and this guy has been super, super helpful. He calls in or emails me to check in with me, and it's been very, I guess, encouraging during this process. The process of doing something like this is like a lonely island. It's very hard to convey to friends and to family because a lot of your friends and family have, regular 9-to-5 jobs, and most people have regular 9-to-5 jobs. It was very hard to describe this even to my wife, who's not really a sci-fi fan, but how do you explain to your wife that you're spray painting Nerf guns in the garage and building this gay girl character with spray paint and using neighbors as models? I mean, it's hard to explain, but it really is no different than, say, if you were a 9-to-5 salesperson that wanted to be the best. You may take an extra sales seminar class, or you might go to some further training. So us creators, we kind of get knocked down. It's like, oh, they're just being like crazy, or it'll pass. But I don't think anything I'm doing is outlandish, and I don't think anything I'm doing is like so crazy. It's just, like what you guys are doing right here. Some people are like, wait, what? You guys go spend 2 hours with strangers and talk, and it's like, people don't get it. They get it once they watch it. They don't see all the work behind it to get to that point. So
yeah, I don't think it's crazy at all. You said you started doing this during the pandemic. Like, that's that's your way. That's your outlet. I wish I could have gone back and been like, I'm gonna write the next great American novel.
Some people started doing sourdough during the pandemic. You stared making your film.
Well, the pandemic opened up a lot of doors from like a creative mindset. And like, I didn't start actually physically doing the work of TOTUS, but the idea was planted, right? During COVID, when it first happened, like, I was following all like the protocols. I had like this huge respirator mask going to buy groceries, and friends were saying, oh, that doesn't do shit. And then they're like, you don't need a mask. It turned into something that was like so fucking crazy that it made me like really reshape the way that I thought. And even having inner squabbles with family members and, get vaccinated, don't get vaccinated, you're wrong, you're an anti-vaxxer, all this. The only way that made sense to me, which began my, I guess, the genesis of TOTUS, was there's something more to this. And not to say that this is actually the case, but I came up with basically this premise of TOTUS is that, maybe an alien race had come down, worked out a deal with our world governments, and said, hey, in exchange for our weaponry and technology, we need you to inoculate the entire human race. And so all our world government leaders are like, oh, totally, let's take all this power and tech, we need it. But the aliens are really hiding the fact that they know humans are evolving, right? So that 30% of people that were unvaccinated, we're starting to see the infancy of like new metahuman powers develop in the world of TOTUS. Now, before people say like, oh my gosh, unvaccinated people, they're superheroes and vaccinated people aren't, what the fuck? It's not necessarily the case, because just because you're developing superpowers, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be a good guy. So you start to have this infancy stage of characters to begin to have special powers that might turn on each other, that might want revenge, might work together. Meanwhile, in the world of TOTUS, where people are vaccinated, in fact, they need to remain boosted to live in this fictional world, are granted great medicines, great technology. They live their lives, with like no fear of climate change and things like that. So the first element of realism was that COVID. The second element was that I incorporated into TOTUS was, how N95 masks, right, if mandates continued to happen and climate change was continuing being an issue, And then the fact that like Apple Glass and Meta Glass came out, like people are going to start wearing these helmets, right? Like I just thought helmets are cool. How could I incorporate? I'm like, wait a minute, we're kind of trending that way where people are wearing fucking shit on their
Google
face.
Google
Glasses.
Oculuses.
So one of the images, I'll show it up. So this is one of my masks here. Pretty cool, right? Lights up.
Ooh.
This is one of my characters. That's Jace. So these masks in general, right? You could buy them. Sorry, you could buy these things like on Temu or Amazon. So I bought them.
Keep it up there, yeah.
Oh yeah. Is it in frame?
Absolutely,
Boom.
yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's in frame. It's cool though.
Can you tell us a little bit about it? I mean, you said you bought it and then you were tinkering with it.
Yeah, so I modified this one. I spray painted this kind of like a Desert Stormy way. This is Jace. He's one of the characters of my fictional secret society that are called High Guard. And High Guard basically represent conspiracy theories or weaponized government. Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, those are drone blades that are on that. That's crazy.
That is super crazy.
Don't break this mask.
I'll put it on. I'll put it on by the end of the show to give you guys a good thumbnail to use. I put that lightning bolt on there because that's part of the story. TOTUS takes place in 2021, but then does a big time jump of 30 years into 2049, 2050.
Cool.
So those masks, oddly enough, I bought those masks because those were like the easiest things to get. But I did not know that there is like a subculture that buys these masks, right? And like live their lives. They go out. Some of them are like, characters in their own like the real world, but they dress up as them.
You mean like cosplayers?
Like definitely like cosplayers, but they're actually different than cosplayers. They wear these as an appendage or an extension of themselves.
So it's not just like convention.
It's not convention.
Every day
it's not.
wear
It's
like that.
It's like a furry, but like a plasticky. They're
they're good quality.
They do.
And
it's the same kind of guys that have those like solo wheel bikes. Like I've seen them around. They'll rock.
Do they come like quarters?
Dude, they love it, and I love CyberTech.
Walgreens with this on.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like,
weird world we're living
so
in.
the moment I did, so I when I started building my TikTok and Instagram page and started kind of relinquish some of that, that stuff that I made and show it to the world, I started seeing these people start to follow my page, and all their profile pictures were them wearing these helmets. So it's like cyber this, cyber that, So I start to find this community that I'm in, and I started to ask them questions like, why do you love cyberpunk? What's your favorite cyberpunk?
That was going to be my next question.
It's cyberpunk is the name of it.
Cyberpunk is like I guess you would say the subcategory. Cool. I don't necessarily like the word punk on it. Cyberpunk.
We do it, Hawk.
Yeah, rock and roll, bad. Cybertech is also another. Cybertech is actually kind of a way of life as well. There's a lot of companies that sell cybertech clothing, of which I used in some of my character creation for when I filmed my characters in real life.
What's cybertech clothing?
Very baggy pants. It's very like a nod to Digital Samurai, if that could help you kind of understand. So imagine this mask, and then it really came down to giving a nod to cybertech or cyberpunk, but also since it's only 30 years from now, it's not going to be so outlandish, but it is cool. So like some of the underground, there's like leather straps, kind of like typical stuff you would see in like a sci-fi movie, but not so far distant where it's like Dune, where people are wearing like shawls. I think the problem of like modern day sci-fi, which I'm a huge fan of, is it doesn't connect with a lot of people. My wife, for instance, when we watch Dune, it's so like it's 10,000 years. It's so hard to grasp. It's like even I had to like bring like a notebook out and like keep notes on it. I wanted a sci-fi universe that's not so far in the future that's relatable. In fact, I created this character named Dominic Chambers. He's one of our first characters that develops a levitational super meta human power. But what I wrote about him, he's like 19, 20 years old. He's a connoisseur of the past. So he loves all early thousands things like we grew up with. Cool. So even though it's in 2049, 2050, He's listening to DMX. He's wearing his Jordans. He's like all about
Doing
the culture.
Soulja Boy.
Doing the Soulja Boy, bringing that all back, you know? So like cool shit that like I think if the audience was around our age, 25 to 40, they'd be like, oh my God, dude, this is great. There's some great about the past. And so Dominic Chambers is a really dope character that I wrote. His dad, Dr. Silas Chambers, he's kind of this Jekyll and Hyde meets Hyde type of character. He runs the National Health Organization of TOTUS. Does not know his son is unvaccinated. There's a whole backstory to that. But he's in charge of making sure that everyone does these boosters and all that. But he's kind of like this Jekyll Hyde type of character. And him and his son have this kind of estranged relationship where he doesn't understand why his son's not opening up to him. And there's just like a typical father-son riff to a degree. And what's great about it is like I can't wait to see what happens. Even I don't know what's going to happen with them, where it's going to be like, does dad believe in science so much that he's willing to like, you know, ostracize his own son? Or is he going to have a moment where like, I love you, I'm Lord Vader, Luke, I'm your father type of thing. So those are just two of my other characters that I've been working on. But so far you've met Jace. I think I brought B with.
I was going to say, I think you have a clip right here of another character.
I did. And this is some of the...
Let me see if I get the right one.
Yeah, it's the yellow jacket.
Gotcha. I think it might be...
Really creative. Her name's B, and she's dressed like a bumblebee.
Nope, not that one. What's it for? Nope, not that one. Is it that one? It's not that one.
No, it's the one you're not clicking on.
Yeah. That one. You want to talk about this one a little bit?
Yeah, so part of the process was, you know, I talked about Fiverr. Fiverr really helped me sketch out some of these characters, but then it came time to like, okay, how the hell am I going to do this? And I went on Etsy, and all these cosplay costumes were so frickin' expensive, you wouldn't believe it. So then I went on to Amazon to find some certain things. This is a good friend of mine. This is Audrey. She's a Chicago photographer. She's amazing. So I thought she's also a really good dancer. So my character B is kind of like the socialite, media influencer in the world of TOTUS. So I just put her up on a green screen to kind of do a screen test, and she came out great. And, you know, unfortunately, she wasn't able to make the real life shot of me filming her in like a real life scene. I actually used a different girl. Her name was Megan. And it's strange because once you put these helmets on people, they take a life of their own, man. Like, I kind of understand why. Yeah, I understand why these cyberpunk people, like, you feel like a fucking different person when you're wearing something like this, especially when you have a dope costume.
It's a separation from identity, which is kind of nice, you know. I can relate. I do a lot of like costume stuff with my girlfriend's company, where when you're Batman, it's cool because you're not you anymore.
Yeah,
I'm not Jack. You're not Joe. You're not Jay. You're that person.
You're right. And
you can get away with some stuff.
And what's crazy about it, kind of going off of like, you know, the Batman and Superman, and these are iconic superheroes. And not to say I don't love Marvel. I grew up, and one of my biggest inspirations is one of my older brother, Jimmy. He's a huge comic book fan, and he's like a thesaurus. So like when this is before movies, this is like when we were collecting trading cards, and you know, just learning about the lore and just really like, oh, these are great. But then it's like, how do you compete with that? And then the movie started coming out. And I will say, like, the movie's gotten so repetitive. Like, all right, here comes the alien swarm in New York. How many times does New York have to blow up before we realize there's a portal to take us back in the time to stop it? You know, it's like the same shit. I get it from, like, Marvel's standpoint in regards to recycling things. They're doing a hell of a job at marketing towards children and making money off of merchandise. But I do think it's become oversaturated. Same with Star Wars. You know, Star Wars most recently, you know, Acolyte has come out, and it just seems like you could only squeeze a lemon so much where you're not getting any juice out of it anymore. You're just like squeezing shit. And I should know. I made handmade lemonades growing up at like carnival shit. Like I was a food vendor, and I made thousands of lemonades, and squeezing lemons fucking sucks. But
it's all grind now. It's skin and stems.
Dude, it's a big ladle of sugar, 2 squeezes of lemons. You use the well water from the sewer. Boom, boom, boom. $7. Thank you. But by point of saying, once you put these on, since they're not tied to anything, these masks don't have a home. They're not tied to any movie that's out. They're just generic helmets. But when you put them on, especially when I started designing them, and then Jace was the first character that I made, and I had my neighbor, his name's Matt, he came over to the garage, and I put him in it. And, dude, I was, like, emotional putting it on, because, like, I finally had something that turned it from, like something I conjured up in my brain to then drawing out to writing to spray painting and then putting on. He's like a taller, more fit guy, and I put it on. I was like, this looks so fucking cool. Like, I'm like, I want to see this. Like, and then to see him start to, and I didn't tell him any notes. I'm like, you're this guy, you need to walk this way. To see him start kind of moving, it helped me realize, like, you know what, maybe his character is supposed to move like that. He's more of like an empath type of high guard. In fact, Jace, high guard, but he represents a specific type of high guard. He represents defectors or whistleblowers. So he's actually retreated into the outers, knowing and having the capabilities of high guard, including his blood blade, which we'll talk about in a second. But he's retreated into the outers, and therefore he kind of made his high guard uniform more fitting for the setting that he's in, which is more of a rural, desolate area.
And the outers are the non-vaccinated people.
Yeah, that's the unvaccinated. That's what powers their blood blades. So coming up with technology for this world, I thought, well, okay, if unvaccinated blood has this meta gene in it, right? Why would these high guard be like hunting them down? It's kind of twofold. One, they don't want the world of TOTUS to crumble. It's a way of controlling. So think of these helmets, right? Not only did they keep. By the way, I came up with a name for these helmets in TOTUS. In the world of TOTUS, they're called shields. Thanks, ChatGPT. Shields stand for what the fuck do they stand for? Smart helmets for Smart helmets for information, entertainment, and life defense systems. So
it's think about it.
Very much an Oculus, but in the future, since you're living in TOTUS and you're walking around, you're kind of like close to the real world, but TOTUS is controlling kind of what you're seeing, what you're viewing. They're saying don't forget to be boosted. It's kind of very symbolic of like what we do with TVs are our screens, right? Whereas the outers, people don't wear masks. They're more of the unvaccinated. If you want to call them anti-vax, you can. But they're more like, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful areas. It's even though it's war torn because zone wars had happened in between this large 2021 to 2050 jump, which is movie number 2. But I want to show both sides. I want to show that there is wonderful stuff about modern science and technology that, you may want to live in TOTUS. You may not want, if I were to tell you like, hey, guess what? If you don't get vaccinated, you might have lightning bolts shooting out of your ass. You might be like, I don't fucking know if I want that. Sign me up for the vaccine. Whereas you might have some people being like, oh, well, if I'm vaccinated, I can't get superpowers. I actually did come up with kind of a solution for that, which our character B, the yellow character that you just showed, it's a drug called CRMX, which like if you overdose on it, you kind of reignite your mutant gene. So even though B is kind of like this whimsical, she's a gay character that represents marginalized groups. She's just like the everyone loves her girl, but she has like a deeper, darker thing when she does this drug. She has no idea that she's going to end up being like this like rising phoenix, like super badass chick. So it's cool, man. I don't know, as you can tell, I'm so into it, and I like talking about it.
Seems like a lot of your followers are too. We got a lot of good comments.
Oh, you do?
Here.
Let's go.
You guys leaving some comments, we appreciate it. Let's see, we had I just exited out on my phone. I don't know why it exited out. We had someone say, I'd buy that ticket.
Oh, nice.
Let's see. We have David Suarez.
Oh.
Saying Joe is an incredible filmmaker. He called you a filmmaker.
Yeah, he knows how to get underneath my skin.
He says, can't wait to hear about his project. There's also Thomas Moisenga,
yeah. Tommy, I just played golf with him a couple days ago.
Tommy said, I would buy a ticket to this movie.
Great, guys. Great commentary.
Very good commentary. We love the comments.
I appreciate
Keep them coming. Appreciate it. We got one more from D Moose. It says, interesting. Following hashtag TOTUS.
So a lot of the commenters have been like my really good group, my circle group of friends and family, who at first they're like, what the hell is he doing? But the more and more I did, the more and more they're kind of seeing it, right? And making like fair arguments about it. And they see it, and they've been very supportive. I've had another friend of mine, her name's Maria. She's kind of a fellow creative. She lives in Nashville, and she saw what I was doing, and she took it on her own to start setting up meetings with production companies. We may have gotten a little bit too ahead of ourselves, but she's like all in. And then it's nice to have, if you're a creative that works for themselves, you don't have those water cooler moments where if you're a graphic designer at an ad agency, you can go talk to your account manager and just be like, hey, did you watch that show last night? That was cool. Like, you're on an island as a creative, man. Like, when you're by yourself, it sucks, and you do feel like you're losing your mind at times. And you're like, what the hell am I doing? And there's been numerous times that I'm almost at tears, like, why am I doing this? Like there's zero chance this can work. And then when I have days like this today, I just got out of the car, and my car has TOTUS, a huge decal on it. It says TOTUS, because I used my car to make like a futuristic police officer character vehicle. And so I spent $160 on this fucking sticker. I'm like, I'm getting my money's worth out of it. But I did have TOTUS PD. I didn't know it was illegal to be driving around with like a PD, and I had protect and mandate on it. So I was driving around my neighborhood, and people are like what the? I see people's eyes are looking at me. The only reason I really love keeping it on is that people do think it's like a police car, so they don't fuck with my car. They're not gonna like break my car window. So I've had a lot of supportive friends and family. In fact, there's probably a lot of people in my community who are probably watching this for the first time that actually don't know that I've been working on this. Aside from my close group of friends, I haven't really been outspoken about it. It's a touchy subject. We all have friends and families that, we were challenged by, or we challenged them during the COVID pandemic. And I just don't want this to be misconstrued as something as hate towards other people or as ill wishes towards other people. It's really my attempt to kind of learn to process what all went down as 2020, and to let a little bit of that chip on my shoulder show a little bit more, because I lost so many gigs during COVID due to my vaccine status. I lost, I didn't really lose any friends, barely, by the grace of God I did, and it was close. But I just thought, this is absolutely bullshit how people are being treated, and I didn't care for it at all. And this is kind of like my way to make sure that people don't forget how mean they were to each other by creating the common enemy, which I won't dive into. I don't want to spoil it. I think it's a moment for everyone that, like, you know what, this is cool, and this is something new, which is all I'm trying to do.
So it's like it is a social commentary, and I think people need that these days to reflect on that. You're right. If you make it this sectioned off world, where you can point fingers and maybe not point fingers, but also like have this outside point of view, maybe it'll make people think twice about how those couple years went down.
Correct. And so it doesn't happen again. It's like.
Or what would you do if this situation were to come again, kid who's now watching this movie, Oh,
you're talking about just their hypothetically?
The yeah. If some shorty's watching it now and then, their great plague comes along, it's like, where are you going to be on this role? Have having some sort of background to it, because none of us really had anything like that ever. You know what I mean? We had like scares or whatnot, but never even any kind of theatrical film, whatever it may be, about this subject. Yeah. I didn't even know what a pandemic was before.
And that's the thing. I didn't want it to be so oh my gosh, but there's so many symbolic things, from the masks of being closed off to the world, to having your choice of whether to be vaccinated or not, to and everything in between. The reason I created these characters to put an alt-right conspiracy theorist guy as Braven Hendricks, the character I created, to match him next to an LGBTQ character and see how that goes. I really want to show both sides and how they're going to have to work together, or the trust the science character with his own son, how's that going to work? So there's a lot of triangular relationships with my characters. You know, I kind of did them as like these three kind of work together, and these three work together. I created this one character that represents his character's name is Senator David Hall, and he's basically a combination of Vivek Ramaswamy and Gavin Newsom, just like an arrogant, good-looking prick that's in it for himself, right? So I want to kind of take, you know, things that the left hates and things that the right hate, and kind of put them together and see like what does that look like when they're both. And maybe there's what's odd is that the senator character that I've been writing, I originally wanted him to be like this mean, you know, bastard type of guy, and he's actually turned out to be like this funny comedic fucking guy. Like the shit he says is like he's so into himself, he's so self-absorbed that he does things just fly over his head. But to your point, you know, there's not been something like this done where it's meant to be fun, but it's also meant to kind of be a mirror. Like I want people to hold this up and see themselves as B, or see themselves as Celine Kaiser, the police officer who represents first responders. But I also want them to be like, you know what? I never thought I'd have characteristics like B, or I never thought I'd share the same sentiment as Braven, the alt-right resistance leader. So I do think there's so much legs. I wrote the first script purposely to be kind of a glorified teaser, if you will. One, because I want to kind of keep it as cheap as I possibly can, but also have it open-ended so that people are like, dude, I want to know more about these High Guard soldiers. The High Guard soldiers are so badass. In fact, a lot of my inspiration came from the video game Call of Duty. Shout out to my gamily, my gamily out there. They know who they are. We play a lot of it. But, you know, what movies do and what shows do, they'll offer to buy their skin. For those who don't play video games, you could buy like a character from Dune to play as in this game Call of Duty. And my High Guard characters, I'm like, these would be perfect in there. If you want to pull up, can we show Tiger? Just to show how badass Tiger looks.
Is that the
yeah, it's the black soldier.
Let's see, not that.
No, we don't need to go back to that one.
This one right there.
Yeah, so as I was, this is what's funny about this. This is my friend Ryan underneath this, and Ryan is like literally a CFA, like a big boy company. He's not an actor, he's not a model. He met me in a parking garage that I had access to, and I'm like, dude, throw this on. I just need you to do this. And Tiger, so he's playing the character Tiger, who is like the apex predator, most badass High Guard character, right? That's another friend of mine named Sean Campbell. He's probably more of a filmmaker than I am, but he's in the industry as well. So he played a member of the Resistance. And as you could see, like Tiger is meant to be like this, you know, bounty hunter type of guy. He's like a badass, comes down, you know, and has his blood blade, which is sick. And then, you know, it's just kind of give you a feel of this guy's tenacity and true belief in what he's trying to accomplish, which is eradicate what he thinks are vermin, right? So yeah, he's definitely evil looking, but a lot of people on the cybertech community love this guy. In fact, a lot of them dress just like him. They're like, dude, they're stealing your style. And I'm like, dude, I didn't mean to cop anyone's style. This is Tiger. This is how he came out to be. So
funny.
That's cool. I know earlier you were talking about giving a shout out to your community.
Yeah, I did want to. You know, I never want to disparage anyone that has been, you know, following me and been supportive. And as I've been kind of learning we were talking earlier about the Hawktua girl, right? And like how it just pisses me off. Although funny and, you know, good for her, it pisses me off where you see some of these, you know, influencers that do a phrase like Hawktua or go on OnlyFans and they make it like immediately. And where there's people like you and I who are just grinding it out, trying to make like substance content and things for people to really like sink their teeth in, it becomes like a double-edged sword. It's like on one side I'm like, well, just keep grinding it out, like our dad's like, grind it out, and I'm a firm believer in that, like just keep going, it's gonna pay off. Whereas like that immediate gratification, where it's like, do I just need to throw on one of these helmets and streak across, you know, my neighborhood, you know, and maybe I will do that. I did that in college before, you know, TikTok was out, but like, damn, you know, it's frustrating. So one of the things that I was doing was that I really reached out to the community that's been following me, and it's not much. I only have like 800 followers, but when you think about it, 800 people, like 800 people, like launching your stuff, like think about it from like an auditorium standpoint. It's a lot of people. Obviously, it's not hundreds of thousands, but like I got a nice little seed growing, and I'm gonna lean on this cyber community. They don't have a home. I'm trying to create a home for them. There's the only movies that you could really think that scream cyberpunk, for those who are listening, like The Fifth Element, huge movie, great movie that I love. Obviously Blade Runner. Blade Runner is probably the closest, but the difference about my universe is that TOTUS is not like some desolate dystopian where people are groveling for food and trying to stay alive. It's actually quite the opposite. It's like a thriving community where people are helping each other. It's not a bad place, it's cool, and I want that to be conveyed. So what I had done is I went on and I asked a few of my followers, just like, guys, I would love to know more about why you dress the way you do, respectfully. Some of them, I don't know these guys at all, and they're all over the place. Who knows where they're from? But I do want to shout out to Fox, Merc the Cyber Hunter, Easy Does It, Cyber Reams, Cyber Heart, and Poppy Eric. You know who you are, okay? Stop trolling me, dog. I'm coming after you one of these days. Did my mic jump out?
No, you're good.
Oh,
check again.
Yeah, there you go. Cool. I can hear you better. Nice. But I just want to give a shout out to those people because those are the only ones that really took the time to tell me. I feel like I don't hear myself anymore. Check. We're good? Cool. They're the only ones that really responded with, I like to dress this way because, some of them said, like, I don't like the way that I look, or some of them, like, it's a way of disguising the reality of what I am, and some of them gave reasons of their own characters. They're like giving names to their own characters. Fox in particular, he made his helmet more of like in a fox shape. One of the commenters, I looked at his profile and they said he was a level 29. I didn't know that's his age, but I just like the idea of looking. I'm like, ooh, maybe there's a leveling system to these high guard characters. I actually asked him, like, hey, cyber killer. I noticed that it says level 29. He's like, actually, it's just a denotation of my age. I'm like, oh, my bad. Cool. But that actually spawns something cool. Like maybe there is a leveling system. From what I'm noticing in these big, large-scale universes, is people love the lore. They love feeling that they know a lot about the universe. That's why they go to conventions. I think that's why people are having a hard time with shows like The Acolyte, because they've strayed from the lore, including Marvel. Whereas you have someone like my brother Jim, who's grown up on comics, knows everything about it, and now like a 12-year-old knows just as much as he does, or maybe like a different version of that. Specifically with Silver Surfer possibly being played as a woman. And there's no problems with women. Caveat: it's all great, girl power, 100%. But for true people like my brother, who grew up reading the comics, spent money on those comics, right, that kept those companies alive and going, they feel like they're getting shafted, And it's not, there's no woman hating things. Like, there's actually Silver Surfer's, like, there's another woman character that looks just like Silver Surfer that's probably just as badass, if not more, So I get kind of like upset when franchises just decide to do something like that to make an extra bit of cash over like the female plush toy that you can get at Target, right? So I definitely am trying to create more of an adult universe, rated R, where there is blood, there is like, holy shit, like this is serious stuff, and trying to make it more befitting. Part of doing that is kind of coming up with how do I carry this over? Let's say in the perfect world, someone's listening right now. I hope you are. Give me your money. I need $8 million. Help me. And I make the first movie. What's going to allow them during the downtime to catch up on the lore? So what I did, I went on Fiverr and I had I brought this for you guys, by the way. This is an official. This is a official copy of just a comic book page concept that I had drawn up. Let me show you. Boom. So this has some dialogue. I won't show too much because it does spoil a few things. But I don't know why that's... By the way, for those that are watching, that is laminated with like a million times lamination. That will cut your throat. It's so sharp. Dude, be careful. You can floss
It's
with
technically a weapon.
Yeah.
I love getting gifts. I love getting weapons as gifts.
So I've been...
Sorry, mine wasn't good enough, Jay.
Yeah, no, yeah, you guys are getting gifts all day.
I got you a pipe, but not a knife.
That's for you guys to keep. Who knows? Maybe it's worth something. Maybe it's trash.
Thanks,
Don't
brother.
throw it out, though.
That's so cool.
So what I've been doing now is using social media to find artists that could possibly help with this. You know, you can't, like you guys are a dynamic duo. You may do something more. Yeah, look at that pound. Hell yeah. You handle one side, you handle the other. It's a lot easier when some of that weight's taken off your shoulders.
Sir.
I found this girl on TikTok. Her name is Mary Landro. She is not only amazing at her TikTok content, but her skill of what she's doing. She's a comic book illustrator, and she's got a comic book out. You should check her out if you're into it. She has a vibe about her and a skill set that, like, dude, this girl's gonna blow up. I'm surprised she's not working for like Marvel. But then again, it's like, why would you want to work for Marvel when you're doing your own thing, right? Mm-hmm. So I've been desperately trying to reach out to her to just be like, have a one-on-one. I just need to talk with you. Like, we need to do something. Like, could you please help me further this lore? It's been to no avail, and like I've actually given up because I'm borderline, like, I'm meeting that like crazy, like, stalkerish level at this point. I actually might send her this video, just be like, dude, you got to hear me out at this point, please. Like, I'm saying, but regardless if I hear from her or not, she is an incredibly talented woman who is killing it with her own art. If you're into comics, you should check her out. It's her tag is M Landro Art, and she's amazing. I envision her and I on stage at Comic-Con, and like the fans going wild because her art's amazing, but she also has like the cyberpunk vibe. I just know these guys would like love her and love seeing her, and I would love to champion her as much as I would love to do this myself. I can't sit and lock myself in a room and start drawing up comics, you know. So I will say finding people to help has been challenging in regards of promoting and furthering the lore. I have to make a living. I still have to work. I have a son, you know, and I have a wonderful, beautiful wife who has been amazing 100% with everything that I'm doing. She's finally starting to see this kind of work, right? The gears are like, you know, starting like, this might go, more oil, you know. But she's been, you know, my rock in regards to making me not feel that I'm losing my fucking mind. So I know she's listening. I love you. And, but yeah, I mean, that comic page is for you guys. We could talk about it afterwards. I don't want to talk about it on here because it does spoil something. But yeah, man, that's kind of me in a nutshell. This is me in a nutshell.
Earlier, you were saying that sometimes creatives feel like they're in a lonely island. Mm-hmm. I know a lot of creatives, even personally, that they feel that way sometimes. What are what's your advice for people that feel like that and they're trying to make art happen?
You know, honestly, when I saw you guys, you know, put out a post looking for people to speak on certain things, it's been a huge help because I can't go into like a 9-to-5 office and start talking. I try. People are like, get the fuck out of here. I'm like, what the hell are you doing here? But you got to speak with people, and it's hard. Now, you know, I'm not a creative where I'm single living in Chicago where I'm able to go to a bar and meet up and do some of these cool meetups, whether it's a photography meetup or a videography seminar or just, you know, an artist meetup. It's not easy for me to do, but I encourage those, right? There's a lot of weird people out there. You just got to find your weird, like what you're willing to be weird with. And even though I'm weird, I'm not as high on the weird scale as some people. So it's
and weird's not bad, guys.
Weird is not bad. Weird is not bad at all. But for instance, what helped me get into this world was when I linked up with friends like Rob Stern and Sarah Stern and Louis Wong and Francis, I call him Kiko, Jim, you know, Jimbo, all these guys. A lot of them were like former athletes. They were really into their craft, and they made me not feel like I needed to be some weird stage art, you know, or stage production type of, you know, artsy guy. Like, I'm like, I was a jock. Like, dude, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Like, what is this, a slate? And like, they were really like, dude, just hold the slate, clap it. I'm like, oh, cool, you know. So it's really about what I mean by finding your weird. Like, you kind of got to find the people that, you know, are close to you. You definitely want to push yourself outside the boundaries and learn what you can take. And I've I have a wide threshold of what, you know, I could get really fucking weird. You want me to get weird, I can get weird. You know, but it's really about, you know, doing those meetups, having conversations with people like you, and then even people that, you know, you've worked with in the past. Sometimes it's nice to just give them a call and be like, hey, you know, I don't have a gig for you. I don't have money for you. I just wanted to see how you're doing. I've often found that early on I used to get very spiteful at other people's success. I'd be like, how the fuck did they get their camera? Like, how the hell did they get this gig? And I would almost get like salty about it, and it would put me in like this negative space. Mm-hmm. And the more I started talking to other people and really trying to like be like, dude, and it's hard. I won't lie, man. Like, it's hard for me. It's just not my character to be like, dude, you got this. And the more I do it, it's become second nature. And in reality, by me telling these people, my friends or people I come across, like, you got this, you could do it, I'm really like subconsciously telling myself. Every advice I give to someone, it's like I'm basically giving myself advice. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't always take it, right? I'm like, you got to be eating this and don't eat Oreos at night. I'm a guilty guy. I love my Oreos, you know. Yeah. But I guess that's a fair question, and I think, you know, there's ways of dealing with it. And if you ever, you know, if you don't have circles or you're timid, like, I don't know, I would pick up a video game. Be careful, and but the online community is cool, man. Like, there's a lot of like gamers out there that are like super lifelong friends, and a lot of people that, you know, my family, you know, got me through COVID, you know, when we couldn't do stuff, you know. Sure. So I'd go and play Call of Duty for 4 hours with my dudes, and you know, I hate their fucking guts. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Just Luke. I'm kidding. But yeah, what else you got for me?
John Taffer. What was that? You met him?
John Taffer. I met John Taffer. I met John Taffer, and this is a perfect example of what I alluded to earlier of why I hate production, specifically like reality shows. Actually, anything really. I don't feel that I'm always right, but I feel like this doesn't sit well with me. How is no one seeing this? I was hired on Bar Rescue as, I thought, a camera guy. So I go on and said, like, oh no, you're not a camera guy. And thank God I wasn't, because they were dealing with like real big boy cameras at the time. And at that time I was barely operating a DSLR. Thank God I wasn't on a camera team. They would have kicked me out. They're like, you're on set deck to start. I'm like, set deck? What the fuck is that? It's like set decoration or whatever the hell. So next thing I know, I'm lugging chairs like across the parking lot, and the you know, like hundreds of feet. I'm like, this sucks. Next thing I know, they give me a screw gun, and at the time I wasn't really into like craftsmanship. Like, just start drilling in panels. I'm like, drilling in panels? What the like? Don't people need to be like licensed to do that? It's all like smoke and mirrors. The guy's like, dude, it just needs to be like camera ready. So we're putting up like, I'm not bad mouthing Bar Rescue to a degree. Love the show.
We love Bar Rescue.
But we were doing this one remodel to make it like a fisherman's wharf fucking bar or something. And I don't know if it's a bow or a stern, but which is the front? The bow? I think it's the bow.
I believe so.
So the idea that I'm helping build, that I have zero understanding of how to build anything. We're supposed to be creating the bow of a ship that is meant to be like the bar, right? And I'm looking at it, I'm like, this looks nothing like a bow. It doesn't come to a point. It's like a back. It looks like the back of Gilligan's Island boat.
Well, it looks like the stern.
Yeah, it looks like the goddamn fucking stern, right?
You don't know your boat? Fucking starboard.
Yeah, exactly. I think starboard's right, and the only way I know that is from Titanic. Iceberg, starboard! So I'm working on this thing, and the whole time I'm like, I can't say anything because I'm low man on the totem pole. I'm like, this is not the fucking bow. All of a sudden, John Taffer comes in, and he's over my shoulder. I'm underneath him. I'm like right by his crotch, and I feel his presence, and I'm like, oh my God, John Taffer's balls are right over my shoulder. So he's over me, and he's like, guys, this isn't the bow. This isn't the bow. And I'm like, I told you, fuck. He's like, but what was great about him, instead of like causing a fit, he's like, no, this is perfect. People meander at the back of the boat. They meander at the stern. This is fine. This will work. We'll keep going. We're going to make this the stern. It's now the stern. And everyone keeps like doing it. And it was great. It was a cool thing. But at the time I was, you know, dabbling and smoking marijuana. And I told my good buddy Gibby that I'm like, yo, dude, I'm like gonna be on this. I filmed this episode, but during break, I was a smoker at the time, but during break they had ice cream sandwiches for everyone for lunch. So I see the time lapse camera. So if you're familiar with the show, they do a lot of time lapses. And I'm like, I'm going to be on this fucking nightmare of a show right now, no matter what, right? And so I eat my whole ice cream sandwich standing in front of the time lapse. So I'm like, I'm going to be this. So my buddy and I, we burn one down. And we go to watch the episode. And the time lapse is going so freaking fast, dude. And I'm like, dude, I got to be in. I thought I saw a glimmer. Dude, I go, boop. Pause. You see me eating an ice cream sandwich, Spike TV logos right underneath. I'm just like eating this. I got a cigarette in the hand. That was my profile picture for like ever,
awesome.
right? I will say though, Bar Rescue, one thing, I know I've kind of disparaged myself in regards of not being quote unquote a team player, or at least being like a low man on the totem pole and not loving it entirely. They gave me one last task, which was to park all the cars that were going to be coming into the parking lot. There was zero direction on, like, they called me Ojo at the time. It was my some people still call me Ojo, but I was hired as Ojo. I don't know if that's on my 1099. I hope it is. So they're like, all right, open the gates, let the cars in. So I had this parking lot, and I didn't think this many fucking cars were coming. Dude, there's like 400 cars that just start queuing in, and I just start calculating. I'm like seeing like the Matrix, right? I'm like, you go there, and I'm doing this. Dude, I did like a triangle shape internal with another triangle finished with like a bigger octagon of like lined up cars, all of which can get in and out. I hear on the radio, because at this point I'm running it. I'm committed. I'm yelling at people, you're there. No, you're there, buddy. You're there. And so I hear on the radio like, who's this fucking guy parking cars? And like someone in the radio, like, I don't know, he's a fill-in for today. It says his name is Ojo. Keep this fucking guy. It was like the producer. I'm like, yes. I'm like, dude, it's worth it. It was brutal work. I made like $60 for like literally like killing myself that whole time. Great question though. I love talking about that story.
Oh, that's the film industry.
Yeah, right. What are some other cool projects that you've worked on?
I've worked on a few. Sometimes you'd be surprised that like you actually don't know, who you're working for until you like fill out your W-9 or your 1099. And I did something. I think it was for HBO, but it was for what was it? It was for a drag show, but it was in the middle of the night. It was like 3:00 a.m. And they told me like, hey, we're doing this documentary. We need you to pick up interviews of some of the drag queens, right, inside their dressing room, which I thought was weird. And again, like I'm just emailed this. Usually there's a producer on set. I've been able to get a lot of gigs because I have a producer mentality, and I actually shoot better for other people or other clients just because, I understand that what they're trying to do, and I have a better etiquette than most, I would say, like represent who you're shooting for. So I go in and being as professional as I can, but I'm like literally in this nook, right? And there's no cell phone service, so I can't even get a hold of this producer that I don't even know other than email. And the drag queens start coming in, but some of them were like fully committed, like surgery transition type of drag queens where they had surgeries to do, breast augmentation and all that. And I'm in this nook and I'm told to interview, like just grab as many as I can. The main person that I was filming was Flame Monroe. She's like the main drag queen of Chicago. She's awesome, and she was absolutely amazing to me. I don't have any better words, and without her, honestly, I don't think I would have gotten the project done. She was the main focal point, but then I had some other, fill-in interviews to do, and they didn't care about nudity, and thank God they didn't care, because that's all you saw. I'm in this nook, and it's all you see is, drag queens naked, changing in the background while I have my interview subject. So I'm just, doing everything as good as I can, and, there's a playful banter, as a producer and trying to film, you try to get the most out of people. And I was interviewing, I forget the person's name, amazing at first. She was great, and she was really nice. She was, like, hitting on me. I was actually like, maybe I got it still, I'm like, cool, we'll call her Jane. I don't know what the stage name was. And, kind of a jacked woman, and she goes to perform on stage. I don't know if she did drugs or had a bad night. When she comes back, I mean, she starts huffing and puffing at me. She's like, "Oh, Joe, you don't know shit." And like, just like under her breath, I'm like, "What the?" And starts razzing the other girls getting changed, and I'm like, dude, there's zero way for me escaping. Like, zero way for me. I'm in this little chair. I got my fucking expensive camera. I got one key light. My boom pole's over here. I'm done. Like, there's zero. And this person was jacked. Like, I mean, more muscular than a muscular person, And she starts going like, "Oh, who do you think you are?" And I'm like, "Jane." I'm like, "I don't know." She steps up to me, but she's also naked doing this. So I have both. I got the D down low. I got 2 T's up top, and I don't know what protocol is for this. Either way, it wouldn't matter. I'm getting trounced. So one of the girls
to the throat.
One of the girls is like, "Yo, like Jane, leave him, leave the white boy alone." And I'm like, yeah, totally, leave me alone. And so she sits down, and like, I have a problem when people don't like me, I guess. And like, they have, so like, I'm like, this is crazy. So she's sitting down, and I'm like, "Jane." I'm like, I'm like, "Jane, like, what the fuck?" Like, dude, I'm like, your dude. I barely know her. And she's like, "Oh, just, I'm like, dude, give me a hug or whatever. Like, we squashed it. But for a moment, it was, I don't know where it aired. I don't know where the footage went. I don't even know if it ever got made. I mean, I got paid for it, but that was probably the most, I guess, difficult and most weird thing I've been on. But it's funny you say that, because I was thinking about it on the drive here of like why I started to do what I'm doing. Early on in my career of filmmaking, I was making a dent in the wedding industry, just very emotional stuff, and I was running 2 teams and adding photography, and I learned a ton. I didn't go to film school. I just was like, it's called running gun shooting, working with natural light and all that. But before you know it, I was shooting for brands like Rust-Oleum, and they're not Nikes, they're not like, but there's they're notable brands that there's a lot of work out there. Ace Hardware, like all that stuff you see in Home Depot when you slide and you want to see a product. It's not like you're filming models, for a Nike commercial or a Dwar cologne or perfume type of shit, right? Although cool, I started to find myself like, okay, I'm staying afloat, I'm making money, but then I wasn't feeling like fulfilled. And the only few things I've ever done for myself where I've never had a creative director over my shoulder where I'm like, I'm going to do it my way, have been my brother Tim's engagement video, where I flew to Iona, which is in Scotland. It's an island off the coast of Scotland. Cool. And I did this whole proposal video. He was going to propose to his then girlfriend at the time. I'm like, dude, if you do that, I'll go before you. And like, dude, I had to take like 3 ferries, 2 planes, 4 trains. I'm on the edge of the world, dude. And I filmed it like I was at the time into Casey Neistat. If you guys know who he is, he's like he got really famous for a Nike commercial that he did where he spent the whole budget. They gave him $10,000, and he's like, you know what? He's like, I'm just going to go across the world on $10,000. And he did this awesome called Do More campaign, and he went viral after that. He's super big in the filmmaking world. He's more of a mixed media type of filmmaker, iPhone footage, photos, and things like that. So I'm like, that video came out. It was like a 30-minute love story, and it didn't go viral, but it went viral in my community. There was a lot of people that in my hometown of Elmhurst that were like, dude, I watched that, it was amazing. And these are not necessarily strangers, but they have no reason to watch it, but it was 30 minutes. They watched the whole fucking thing. I'm like, cool. Then I start working, filming fucking paint dry, literally. Then I started doing just before I got married, there was a bird that laid a nest in my yard. And I'm like, I have this camera, like this is, like do something. So I start filming like this fucking nest and these birds that are being laid. And dude, it took 18 days, right? Really? 18 days for these birds to hatch. And the day before my wedding, I'm cutting the grass, and I'm like, you when you're doing something, I kind of understood why nature photographers are the way they are. I'm like, I feel weird right now. I feel like something happened. And I saw that one of the birds, the only one bird was remaining, that I've been waiting this 18 days to get the shot of these birds, and one bird was remaining. So I get my cameras. I mean, this is the fucking shot I need. And I get this epic shot of this little boop, 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 and he goes, and it flutters out of the nest. So I end up doing this David Attenborough voiceover, and it's beautiful. It's very like emotional and dear because it was a wonderful magnolia tree that unfortunately we had to cut down not too long ago, and it was cool. And a lot of people were like, dude, amazing. Even like my own brother Tim was one of my most harshest critics ever. He was laughing at it. He's like, that was great. So
shout out real quick. Timothy did leave us some comments.
Oh, he did?
He said, shout out Gamily, and he says, LOL, just Luke.
Yeah. He's part of the Gamily. He's real family, but he's also part of the Gamily squad. Right. But, so then the last thing I did, that's two. So I did the bird video, my brother's video. The other thing I did had nothing to do with filmmaking, but everything to do with pushing myself to the limit. And I built a stone patio in my backyard. I did not know shit. I just decided, I told my wife, I'm like, I think we should do the stone patio. And she's like, all right, if you know what you're doing. And she knows I didn't know what I'm doing. I just kind of I think I could do it. And I built this amazing stone patio, but it took me 3 months. What landscapers could do in a day took me 3 months because I was hand cutting stone, right? I put an in-ground fire pit. So I had my uncle come over, run a gas line for me. And then I put this, it's amazing. I remember looking at it and being like, holy shit, I can't believe I did that. I YouTubed it. I'm like, it's amazing. So COVID happened, Star Wars, Marvel happened, my personality is ongoing, still happening, my 3 little projects had happened. I have finally realized I'm all in on myself. I 100% believe in myself, where it's not so outlandish, where I'm not thinking oh, I'm going to be an astronaut, wife, I'm going to start taking, although at this point maybe I can be,
Who knows?
In all seriousness, I do think I've committed myself to just trusting in myself. And that's if you're a creator out there, or just anyone really, do it. Fucking do it. Just do it. You'll be so far along the way that then you are a year from now that you'll be like, damn. In fact, I was at a client not too long ago, and I saw all their inspirational imagery in their office, and it was all quotes from Albert Einstein, classic people that we all love. But I always took issue with that because I'm like, why am I looking at someone else's quote to inspire me or whatever? So what do? I came up with my own fucking quote. I fucking framed it. I put it in my apartment. I made it artsy and stuff. And the quote was, jump and build your wings as you fall. You'll be surprised at how fast you'll learn to fly, which is so fucking true. Because if you spend all your time on that cliff thinking, I need the right camera, or I need that fail safe, or I need this, you will never jump off. When you jump off and it's either death or learn to fly. And I was falling fast for a bit, and I'm not even really soaring, and I'm starting to flutter. I'm seeing the sunlight through the clouds. Dude, just keep going. You're there. So it's very on in the infancy stages of TOTUS. I'm hoping that people are into it. I'm so into it. I want it to be made. I don't care at this point. It's going to be made. It's about finding the right people to help make.
I like that quote, man.
Yeah, that is.
You're gonna see it on a shirt someday.
Thank you, man. I will not end with this, but do you guys know what? How old are you?
I've stopped checking the levels. Yeah.
What are you? How old are you, Jay?
I am 27 years old.
Oh, you got years. So, aside from all the things I said that kind of spawned, the creation of TOTUS, I found this other quote, right? Or not quote, it's more of a story. I'll keep it short. But do you guys know what eagles do when they turn 40?
Yeah, I've heard.
Oh, they break their beaks.
Dude.
Or pluck their feathers.
Dude, I had no idea that they did this. An eagle is very much like a human, average lifespan of 80 years. When they turn 40, they fly to a mountain, they smash their beak off, they rip their talons out, pluck all their feathers out. I may have done that in the wrong order. And then they spend 128 days growing all that shit back so that they're stronger for the next 40 years. I do feel like from 38 to me being 39 now, I'll be 40 in March. I feel like that's what I'm trying to do, really trying to hold myself in. And it's allowed me, if this never gets made, I feel like I've juiced everything I have. I've squeezed every ounce of creativity from designing the pitch board to doing video overlays for my backdrops of me being interviewed or interviewing myself to the character design. I don't know how I couldn't get a job. I send my resume out to sometimes companies, and resumes are I'm responsible for 100 units of production pieces. It's so fucking hard. Like this, if someone were to see like me or listen to this and like, dude, like we need this guy on our team. Like I might send this out as a fucking resume. Hey, listen to this shit. An anti-vaxxer white guy wants to work for you. You know?
I will be your references.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Well, we're getting to just about that time. Is there anything that you wanted to let America know before we sign off for the night? Is there any positive messages you want to send out to them?
I've done a lot of the positive talk. I'm just very thankful that, you know, I'm here. I'm able to talk about it. It's allowing me to learn my universe more, and it's giving me further insight as to what I want TOTUS to be. It's allowed me to be like more empathetic towards others. And I guess the only suggestion or, you know, advice I'd give to anyone out there looking to do something or just looking to better themselves is like, pick a project and just start doing it. Like, you will be surprised at how fast you'll be able to do something. And if you don't know where to start, go on Fiverr. If you have a cartoon character or a superhero or want to contribute to TOTUS, because let's keep in mind, since it's the infancy of this fictional world where, you know, we only show 2 High Guard characters, Jace and Tiger, but there's thousands of them. And we only show like 2 characters that have special powers. There's still going to be a lot more characters. If you think there's a character that might fit in this world, send it. We'll flesh it out. But lastly, if you just have something in mind for yourself, go on Fiverr, hire someone to draw you a logo, draw you a character, and go from there. See what it leads to. You know, who knows?
For those of us who've been waiting, are you gonna put on the mask?
Oh, damn. Let's see.
I want to see the mask.
Hold on. Let me put this.
We want the mask.
Let's play this video, this last one, before you.
Those are my concept characters.
Yeah.
These characters I developed.
Well, you put that on.
Cyberpunk, I love it. Are there cyberpunk meetups in Chicago?
I have to say, if you've never used
Not
Fiverr,
yet.
I highly recommend
Dun-dun.
it, even if it's for
Am I
something
on?
fun you
Not
can
yet.
do.
Let me put you
The
on in a
process is
second.
fun. It's relatively
That is so cool.
inexpensive, and I gotta
Now,
say,
can you talk a little bit through there?
Yeah, check.
It's not too
Oh,
muffled,
there we
yeah.
go.
There you go with the headpiece.
With the headpiece, dude.
With the cans. Cool.
Did you ask the question, is there cyberpunk meetups?
Yeah, are there cyberpunk meetups in Chicago?
There are not cyberpunk meetups in Chicago. However,
you know
I feel
of.
like there's gonna be. Most people don't know about this shit, and it's cool. I know. I feel like maybe I'm onto something here.
Yeah. I mean, maybe. I'm sure there are meetups, but maybe they're virtual. You know what I mean? Like a
Honestly,
Zoom meeting.
I think there's more of a. I think the meetups are probably more, you know, based on my algorithm and my schematics from promoting my videos. I do get a lot of people from the Asian market, so China or Japan. It seems to
makes
be
sense.
kind of like it seems like to be like the place where they're at. But yeah, dude, there should be more cyberpunk in the world. It's a sweet vibe.
It is a sweet vibe.
I might drive home like this.
I hear England
you
has
shouldn't.
cyberpunk.
You should not drive
community.
home. Definitely take it off before you go.
Yeah.
It is cool though. So tell us a little bit more about the light. How did you get the ring light inside
Well,
of there?
these come like this. So everything you're seeing is bought except for the paint. So what I thought that makes the High Guard helmets different from like a civilian helmet is that they have these antennas. This makes it feel more militaristic, if you want to say, where they have more technology involved. Whereas a civilian helmet, like I see Apple making an eye shield in the world of TOTUS. Maybe that doesn't have all the features, but the light comes with it. They come in like there's like thousands of these types of helmets. Some of them have like dreadlocks, which I created as I call them the magistrate in the TOTUS world. They're kind of like those 2 Matrix white guys. Remember Matrix had those 2 twins? So they're kind of like that. One's name's Prime, one's name's Echo in the world of TOTUS. And guess what? Echo echoes everything his brother says. Real original, but I think it's cool. Can you hear me pretty well?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Cool, yeah. But there's a whole bunch, man. And like people go on these companies like Fabric of the Universe is a company that sells cyber tech clothing, cyber gear. Like there's literally websites that sell this shit that like, you could probably work into your wardrobe if you're like a club head or just want to be something for costume. Some of the shit gets like crazy expensive, but like I think we're on the cusp. I'm gonna make cybertech a thing in my life, you know, like, and I want people to follow. Yeah. And what's crazy about it is it's not that noticeable on your face.
Just looks like an Oculus.
It's like a COVID pass.
Put like Tesla logo on it. No one question it.
Tesla, I've been seeing Cybertrucks lately, and I'm like, dude, these are sick.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you something about the Cybertrucks, but I forgot.
Let me take this off.
Cool.
Oh shit, my headset.
And then a robber mask.
And then the poo shiesty.
Is that what they call it?
Yes, sir.
What do you want to ask?
Man, no, I had a Cybertruck question, man.
Yeah,
I saw one out in the wild the other day.
No, but I forgot, bro.
They're cool. They're cool looking, man.
I think I was gonna say if you would ever own one.
I don't know, the Rivian, my buddy's got a Rivian. Janny, what up? He's got a sick car. The Rivian's cool. The reason why I'm a Tesla fan is that Tesla is scattered in the outers, and you know that's how the outers survive, is off of decommissioned tech. And just think, like, there's a reason why I'm using Tesla and SpaceX explicitly in the outers, because we may go off world in the world of TOTUS. I don't know. It's cool.
To Mars, maybe.
Something maybe more distant, where there's life. You know, something.
Would you ever go to Mars if it could happen in your lifetime?
Well, Mars. I feel like we know what's on Mars. It's just a big red ball. Like, I'd be willing to take like a glimpse or go to like Proxima Centauri, not to flex on you or anything, but at least that's like the most, you know, place that's closest that has life. You know.
I don't think I would. People ask that all the time. You know, would you travel to that country or not that country, but that planet? It's like no. Like let them figure it out within the first couple hundred years. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't have hopped on an airplane when an airplane came out originally.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's crazy. They're like flying below the clouds too, which is like, it's just a rackety metal bird up there.
Yeah, let them work out the kinks
so, like,
a little
3
bit.
generations
That's how
later.
I felt about the vaccines at first, because like if you're a film person or anyone that deals with tech, you always know, like, you know without a doubt that first gen is always the shittiest generation of it. Like, you're gonna get the second model. You're seeing that with the first gen Cybertrucks. They're all like either they're like melting or they're breaking, you know. So that was another reason before it got political. Yeah, I saw 2 of them coming up here. They're sick.
I saw a Joe Rogan podcast where he's interviewing Elon Musk, and he shoots the Cybertruck with a bow and arrow.
Yeah, it was sick.
It was awesome.
Dude, it was cool.
They're really indestructible. It's insane.
Well, have you seen the crash test though? The downside that people haven't thought about all these electric cars, you know, is that they're so heavy. They're not designed to stop or break apart with our traditional infrastructure of our rail, you know, like our rail system, not train rail, but like our guardrail system. They fucking mow through it. If you watch a regular car going 50 miles an hour and hit a side rail, it's going to go over it a little bit, but it does its purpose. It stops it. When you see a Cybertruck going over it, they're on YouTube. It's like it's not even fucking there, dude. It just keeps going through it.
Because the battery on those are so low, it's a low center of gravity. I could see those going right underneath the car.
Not only the lowness of it, it's how heavy they are. These cars are like twice the weight of a traditional car. I mean, it's crazy. You should.
They don't do well in the snow either because of that either.
My brother Andy, he has the funniest story. He had one of the first, Teslas, and him and his son Drew. Shout out Drew, what up? They were coming home from Michigan, like in the winter. They call it their Apollo 13 moment, where they're driving home and they're like, dude, we don't have a lot of juice to get there. And they're like, as they're going, the battery's drained, but they're like in the boondocks of Michigan trying to get home. They're like literally turning off everything that's pulling energy to the point where they're just riding in like a shell of a car. They're freezing. There's no radio on. There's no heat. And they literally limped it. They got it to like a charge station. This is like 5 or 6 years ago, before charging stations were a little bit more accountable. Accountable, is that even a word? I don't even know.
We know what
I
you
just
mean.
twisted my brain. My brain twisted. But yeah, it's been cool. I'm super appreciative of you guys. Let me ask you the question. How do you two know each other?
We met in 2020. You wanna tell the story?
Yeah. I was doing a thing here at Q4, like live streaming bands and stuff.
Your band specifically.
Well, yeah. It was going to start off with my band, but then that was kind of just like a test to see, like, all right, how am I going to do this and stuff. So it was like during or right after the pandemic when people were able to like kind of go out again.
Okay.
And I was like, dude, I need like a co-host. I need like somebody that's like has that personality or something that like can actually be in front of a camera and people aren't going to be like, why the fuck is he there?
Yeah, no, that's
so, you know what I mean? Like, you kind of have to know your strengths and kind of have to know your weaknesses and kind of like circle around people that like have your weaknesses are their strengths, kind of, you know what I mean? And so I just put a little post out and then a bunch of people like hit me up, but he like kind of like stood out to me. So I was all like, okay, cool, we'll chat. And so he came to the first show we had and did his thing, and I was like, that's pretty cool.
Dude, hell yeah.
Yeah, it was fun. I made the joke. I still make the joke. It's that when Jay was looking for someone, he's like, just so you know, it's like, it's a live stream. People are going to tune in, but it's like just the band that's there.
Yeah.
And I go, that's great. I can tell my jokes. I'm so used to no one laughing at them anyways. So
because in my head, what I had was all like, he's going to tell some jokes, everyone's going to laugh, the band's going to play. And then in reality, it's like, well, who's going to be there to listen?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. Well, whatever. We'll make it work.
Dude, it's funny because it's like the best laid plans often go awry. It's just like before you know it, you're just like, what is this?
Yeah. Like he would tell a joke and then just hear like me and like the other band in the background. Woo, yeah, it's kind of fun. Like you hear like an echo in like the recording that it was funny.
Jay, I'm gonna give you a corporate this is from one of my times I was in corporate. Don't say weaknesses. In corporate, you call them developmental needs.
Okay.
I know that from interning at Target Corporation, and they said like, what do you think your developmental needs are? I'm like, none. You know, it was a hard internship, dude. It was brutal working that
or like
one.
when I do something wrong, they'd be like, I appreciate your enthusiasm, but we got to work on your technique.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? You suck at it. Come on.
It sounds like something a one night stand would say.
right.
I appreciate your enthusiasm. We got to work on your technique a little bit. Have you heard of the Haktua girl?
Yeah. Very cool.
But yeah, then so from then on, we kind of just kept doing it. We were doing a Hawk because we originally, it was called Sad Boy Productions, and then we took some time off in between, and then we did a big holiday show. Took a little time off, and then Jay called me back earlier about a year ago and was like, hey, like we're gonna do this thing. Let's get this thing back off the ground again. So
it's cool. I appreciate the hustle, man. I love it. I think there should be more people out there like you. It's becoming, I don't know. It's cool to see. I appreciate guys like you doing this.
Thanks, man.
You know, I was gonna say something earlier when I gave you that present. It's that when I was a kid, my mom religiously would say this. She was a Chicago cop, always trying to make sure I was making sure I was keeping my nose clean. But she would always say, she's like, you're only as good as your actions and the people you surround yourself with.
Yeah,
that's true. So like what you were saying before about having a good day of getting on the phone with someone and having like a good conversation, like you don't want to be telling your dreams to someone who doesn't see your vision, because they're not going to know what the fuck you're talking about.
And you can know right off the bat, when someone's like, what the fuck is this? So like they're not even listening to you, and it's like, and you're still talking. In fact, I told you that just as I was getting out of the car, some guy's walking his dog. And he's like, what's TOTUS? And I'm almost like embarrassed. I'm like, oh, it's a sci-fi world. And he's like, tell me about it. So I'm walking with him to the studio. He's like, this sounds amazing. Have a good day. I'm like, what? Is everyone doing this for me right now? Like, is this like I'm like in a simulation? It was nuts, dude. I'm like, these guys do a good job. They put people outside to like, encourage me to come, It's fucking nuts.
That's just your energy out into the world, man. You attract everything that you want.
It is, dude. It is 100% true. It is like, I'm such a believer, whether you believe in God or not, there is something out there that when you put it out there, it comes back to you, and it doesn't feel like it ever comes, but when it does, it's like, holy shit. Like, I am not particularly a great business operator, and the fact that I'm still able to get my continued clients, still have work, is because there's a force that is coming back to me because I'm so kind to my clients and people that hire me, and I pray like every night, like, Lord, like, please, like, the TOTUS thing. Like, but then I also kind of like, how are you doing, God? Like, you got your hands filled. I know I'm asking for something I shouldn't be, but like, how are you doing, right? Like, there's so many people that need stuff more than what that I do. I'm a healthy person and have wealth beyond measure in regards to a loving family and friends, but I pray so hard for TOTUS. I pray hard for it, dude.
That's good, man.
Yeah, we'll see.
And it's and that's why we're glad to have you on board today, because it's talking to people who can see the vision when you speak it and putting it out into the universe. It's one thing to say, hey, I got this brilliant idea, and then not tell anyone.
Yeah.
Because where the best ideas are? They're in the graveyard.
Yeah. Dude, you're right.
They really are.
Fuck.
People have this brilliant idea, but they're too afraid to do it. They don't have the means to do it. They don't have the time to do it.
Yeah.
Or they didn't believe in themselves. So
that's right.
For you coming here today, that's just proven to the world and to the universe that you want to make this happen. And although you thought that guy was outside who was talking to you when you came in, that's Three Tooth Willie. He gave him a pint of whiskey.
God damn! I knew something was weird when he put my hand in his pants. Yeah. I knew it felt weird when he put my hand in his pants. Damn it!
Did he ask you for a Chicago handshake?
Yeah, the Chicago 100%. Now I get it. Now I get it.
Shout out Willie.
Toothless Willie. Just kidding.
Yeah, no, but I was
not watching this.
Yeah. But if people do want to follow, you showed a couple clips. My TikTok page is TOTUS.Pitch. It's really showing the behind the scenes. You kind of see me working and sweating in the garage. I'm really trying to stay up to date with it. There's an Instagram page labeled the same, TOTUS.Pitch, but it's a little bit more behind. I've been kind of focusing on TikTok more than Instagram, but it's cool. I think you'll get a better understanding. I have yet to share the actual pitch video. I'm kind of keeping that more professional for people who are going to have to take this seriously. In fact, the one main company that I looked at that if I were to have it my way, I feel like A24 Films or even Saban Films. Are you guys familiar with Saban Films?
I believe so.
Yeah, they're a red logo. If that makes sense. They're a red logo team. Saban Films has done a couple of movies, and it's just their style and whoever they pick and the movies they pick, they all seem very concise, and it feels like they could use a universe like this. I had originally thought of using Angel Studios, which is the movie studio that made it was about the kidnapping stuff. That somehow got labeled like an alt-right. I thought I might have an in with them. What was that movie? Songbird
the thing with Mel
Sound
Brooks.
Sound of Freedom. Saw it. It's definitely tough to watch. Great movie. But I thought maybe this would fit in that world. But then they came out recently saying that they're not going to be doing any, I don't know if it's gun-related stuff or something, or stuff that doesn't have a focus on, God or some religious element, which is understandable. I get it. There is their own company, but A24 Films, I feel like any production company would jump at something like this because it's a forever universe, right? It's something to combat the Disney of Marvels or the Disney Star Wars. So I'm hoping that someone from there listening or at least hear me out. In fact, it would coincide perfectly with the movie Civil War that just came out. So who knows? Just putting good vibes out there. Yeah. Elon Musk.
Yeah.
At Elon Musk, we'll tag him.
Yeah.
For those of you that listen out there, if you're interested in what Joe has to offer, we have his information down here. He just gave you all of his social media stuff. We'll have all that tagged down below in the description. Please reach out to him. Joe, it's been awesome talking to you today.
Been fun, 100%.
It's been super fun. So, but yeah, man. Well, what do you say? Should we wind it on down before we get kicked off of YouTube?
Let's do it.
Well, Joe, thanks again for joining us, brother. Sincerely, we appreciate it. It's fun. It's really awesome to hear you speak about your project. It's like you speaking about your kid. You know what I mean? It's one thing. I was talking to someone. You were talking about job applications the other day, and one of the questions that people ask you, they'll be like, "What is one thing that you could just talk about for an hour and a half?" Brother, we've been going for just about 2 hours now,
Damn.
and you've been passionately been talking about this the whole time. So when you say you've been praying for it to happen, brother, we believe it. We hear you.
Dude,
man.
awesome.
And let's make it happen, brother. You put it
Yeah.
out into the universe. That's what these shows are all about.
I'm excited. Thank you
Somebody
so
will watch
much.
it.
I'm so inspired, and I appreciate your guys' time. And you guys keep doing your thing, man. It's cool.
Thanks, brother.
Hopefully, a year from now, I could send you guys a TOTUS shirt. You know?
Hey, we're always looking to be casted in films.
Yeah,
So me and
100%.
Jay do some work.
Hopefully, a year from now, when you send it, you'll have to send it to our assistant.
Oh, 100%. That's right. We made it then.
Yeah.
Like, who the fuck is this? Hawk Tour!
She'll be our assistant at that point.
100%.
The rise and fall of Hawk Tua,
Yeah.
girl.
Hawk Tua joins Hawk wins.
She wasn't ready for the starlight.
No.
She
She seems like a wonderful young lady. I think she's just she jumped in the deep end, and I don't think it's her personality. I hope she doesn't do any of the stupid shit, but hey, ride the wave if it's there.
Yeah.
Yeah, apparently she had like drinks before they did that first interview with her, and so I guess she just said whatever came to her mind.
More power to her. She seems like it's crazy. People should say what they want without fear of within reason. Don't get me wrong, but she was just having fun. She was on a girls' trip and stumbled upon, and I don't feel bad for her in the slightest. She's making money, and I think I wish her nothing but the best.
I think it's interesting what goes viral nowadays. That's what I feel.
Right.
Hopefully
We were chatting about this a little bit earlier, and I had this conversation with a group full of women, and I was like, "What do y'all think about the Hawk Tua girl?" And they were like, it's weird, it's a thing. And I'm like, yeah, it is weird, it's a thing. I think she got away with it because she was so charismatic and cute and all.
Yeah.
But I asked them, I go, all right, ladies, what if it was a guy up there talking about eating pussy? Just saying, I don't know.
You gotta give it that slap.
What would be the equivalent of a girl saying Hawk Tua? What would be the equivalent of a girl or of a guy doing that?
You gotta give it that
Sometimes you just gotta slurp. You gotta wear them like a.
You gotta slurp and lick.
You gotta wear their legs like it's a chin strap.
Here we go. We're going down. See, I'm talking about
we're going
the
viral.
spectrums of weird, right? We're there. I'm totally with you guys on it.
Now I just did that. Now here's the thing.
Yeah,
Here's the thing.
exactly. It's
Is
right. 'cause
that-
it's like,
Is that weird?
Is that weird?
Is that weird? Is that gross? That a guy just did
I
it.
kind of got grossed out for a sec, but then I'm like, why am I getting grossed out? But we think it's awesome when the Hawk Tua girl says it.
Yeah.
Like, what is it?
I don't know.
That
They
is
can't
interesting.
cancel us now because otherwise they're going against equality.
That's true. That's
You
true.
hear that, YouTube?
Yeah,
they can't get canceled.
It's the same thing. It's just hawking and slurping.
Here at Hawk Wins,
It's the
we
same
love
shit.
eating pussy.
Oh yeah.
We should put that on a T-shirt.
Yeah.
That would sell. I mean, a lot of stuff sells, But that is interesting, and that is I guess a subject for another time to cover.
Subject for another time. Yeah, we don't want to keep rolling down that rabbit hole, but
I'm still trying to think. What I love this slurps. I don't know what the hell. We're getting too into it there.
I mean, do you?
Stop. We're pushing the boundaries on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just saying, if it was a guy saying that,
You're right. It's a double. It's a double-edged sword. Double entendre.
Yeah.
Cool.
But cool. Before before we get canceled this culture season, as Spotlight Sparkles would say. Well, Jay, I think we had a great show today. I know we had a great show today. Ojo, can I call you Ojo?
Dude, you know what? Call me Ojo. It's all
Ojo.
good. Yeah.
Ojo. Thank you for joining us today at Hawk Wins, man. Sincerely, it's been a pleasure talking to you.
Mm-hmm.
Jay, do you got any last minute things you want to tell the world before we tune off for the night?
Tune in next week.
Tune in next week. We know at the end of every show, we always give the viewers a challenge, something to strive to. Make the phone call. Have that meeting to connect with like-minded people like yourself. There's a lot of groups out there for just about anything these days on Facebook, anything on social media. Whatever you're interested in, talk to someone who's speaking your language, who knows what you're talking about. Because like I said, like-minded individuals are like stones that sharpen each other. So get together with some folks, shoot some ideas, and like me mommy always said, you're only as good as the actions you choose and the people you surround yourself with. So get out there, surround yourself with like-minded people, and Do
Nike says, just do it.
do it. Well, no, do epic shit, as we say here at
like
Q4.
we say.
Can that sign come off, Ed? Or is that?
Does this fall in line with epic shit? Does TOTUS fall in line with epic shit?
TOTUS is epic shit.
That's what I thought.
Do
It's
it.
epic shit.
As they say here at Q4, do epic shit with like-minded people. Or not like-minded people. Because, it's okay. Differences are good.
Yep.
That's the beautiful thing about
It
America.
is. It is.
America.
America.
Yeah.
America. Fuck yeah.
Well,
All right.
it's been awesome.
It has been awesome. Again, thank you guys for choosing to listen to Hawk Wins. My name is Jack Dwyer.
And I'm Jay Smooth.
Have a great night.
Peace.